Hello and welcome to another edition of the Change Officer at the STEP Conference 2023. I am talking with Ali from the TAP, who is the super partner of the STEP Conference. Ali, hello and welcome to the Change Officer podcast.
Thank you so much.
We had a really amazing discussion before the cameras turned on. But what I wanted to ask you first is to ask you, how is STEP Conference for you today? And yesterday.
I always enjoy visiting, being part of, partnering with STEP Conference. I remember it from our early days in TAP.
Mm-hmm.
I remember visiting it even when we were just a startup visiting, having a small booth.
Oh.
And then now we're happy to be a super partner supporting other startups.
So it's kind of a checkpoint for you. You know, every step is to checkpoint. Started from a small booth, like many startups around us.
True.
And now you are. What you do at the STEP conference this year?
So
being a super partner.
Being a super partner, of course, we're supporting fintechs.
Uh-huh.
We're supporting startups and SMEs. We like to, because what's our business? We simplify payment acceptance for businesses that are out of the region. And what does STEP do? STEP Conference brings all those startups and SMEs here.
Yes.
And it kind of fits very well to both our missions, and we complement each other. So being here, we support the presence of startups.
Mm-hmm.
We try to be closer, listening to what's happening to startups and SMEs, being there, to be understanding what is new, what's happening, how we can bring value added, and it kind of serves in educating us and giving us awareness of the latest trends that are being brought all together here in the conference.
And what are the latest trends in fintech, except being able to pay everywhere in the Middle East with one solution, that is TAP?
Well, I think there is a lot happening today with fintech in general. It's because there's a lot of verticals in it.
Mm-hmm.
There is paytech,
Mm-hmm.
and there is regtech,
Mm-hmm.
there is crypto,
Mm-hmm.
there is blockchain,
Yeah.
there is many others, BNPLs, and all the others. I think it's a very exciting time that we're in. It's been that way for the past, let's say, more recent years.
Mm-hmm.
It is still a period where we're learning the
Mhm.
behavior that is taking place. It's changing. A lot of players play a role into it. Consumers are a big driver of behavior. Regulators are a big driver of behavior. The industry itself is a big driver of behavior. I would say what is interesting, what I've been noticing here in the region, is that it is not. It is in its direction of unifying or evolving into a standardization. If you see a behavior in the UAE, it doesn't mean it's the same thing in Egypt, not the same thing in Saudi Arabia. So what I'm excited to see, how is this emerging all coming together?
No, this is, and I'm sure then those startups can become scale-ups to scale to the global market also.
Exactly.
But let's go back a little bit to the TAP and a very exciting story. Maybe when you come and visit us in our studio and have a full-blown podcast, then we will have a full storyline about TAP.
Sure.
Because it's really interesting. But in general, as you said, people from UAE do not understand what's going on in a fintech, specific fintech ecosystem in Egypt or Kuwait or Bahrain or whatnot. But TAP is on a mission to simplify the payments or make it intuitive and easy
Yes.
to use in the region. How?
So
What is the
I'll go to the
problem statement?
basics.
Yeah.
I'll
What
talk
is
about the simple basic thing.
Okay,
If you're a business in the UAE,
we are.
and
Let's take Podster as an example. Okay.
and basically you want to serve your customers, you're aware of the behavior in the UAE because you live in the UAE.
Exactly.
Now, because the behavior is different from one country to another, you're not aware as an entrepreneur, basically, that what's the behavior in Saudi or in Egypt or in any other country in the region. The first thing we start with is we try to understand where are you trying to capture or serve your customers. If you're trying to do it in a market like Egypt, then you need to have payment behavior supported and promoted in Egypt, which you're not aware about here in the UAE, such as Misa and Fawri, for example.
Misa and Fawri is
Yes.
what? Is what is the exactly, exactly.
So Misa, for example, in Egypt is the Visa or the MasterCard of Egypt.
Aha.
Okay. It's a card payment
Okay.
that is within Egypt. It's similar, you would see it in Saudi Arabia, called MENA. And it's available in every GCC country, not in the UAE yet.
And yet.
Yet.
Yeah, but the question is, what percentage of the sales processes are happening with those local cards? It seems like, okay, you have Visa and Master coming in from Europe and living in UAE. For me, it's Visa and Master.
True.
Yeah, and the bank just gives me, and I work all around the world. But
True. But the actual behavior is 80 to 90% of the behavior in those countries are on the local networks.
80 to 90.
Percent.
8090.
Yes.
So they don't use.
They don't use much Visa or MasterCard. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So if you go to Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
Visa,
Which we want to do with our studio.
yes.
With Podster, we want to go to
Yes.
Saudi
So
Arabia.
Visa MasterCard is available, and it's the common network for credit cards.
Okay.
Okay, but if you go to debit cards, it is MENA,
Mm.
and because the market is very much debit card payment oriented, MENA represents more than 90% of
90% of,
yes,
of debit card
of any
transaction.
payment
Any
in the
payment.
country. More than 90% is going through MENA.
So we cannot offer our solution, which we have now, which goes with Visa and MasterCard. We have to have some localized solution.
You would have an opportunity with Visa MasterCard, but let me speak in this way.
Why lose 90% of
Why
potential
lose
customers?
90? Yes.
I'm thinking as an entrepreneur. You know,
Yes.
like,
So what's going to happen with 90? First of all, some of them, they don't know that they can pay with Visa.
Mhm.
So because they're not familiar, they think it's a
Yeah.
credit card, That's one behavior.
Okay.
which is it's different in every country.
Exactly.
That's one. Two, some of the cards that have MENA also have Visa. It's
Okay.
co-branded,
Yeah.
but the rates of acceptance, it's not always as successful. So to reach the full potential of your clients, you need to have the local payment acceptance.
Of course.
So the problem that businesses don't realize, we're in a region that has so much potential. But because of all the different types of behaviors, we're not reaching the real potential for all of our businesses, because the businesses are not able to serve the real clients of the region. That's what's happening.
That's exactly. And how did you come up to this idea? Where it originated? From Kuwait?
So
or- yeah.
being Kuwaiti,
Okay.
being in Kuwait, the local debit network is KNet. And
Okay.
KNet represents more than 90%.
Again, 90%.
Yes. So I grew up seeing this challenge.
Mhm.
And the challenge was in Kuwait, you need to integrate separately for KNet and integrate separately with Visa and MasterCard and separately with American Express. What did we want to do? We wanted to bring it all together into a single setup and reduce the complexities on the business. If you're a startup or a business and it takes you so much time to integrate, your liquidity is very important.
Yeah.
If a month or two it takes you to set up this, you might close down your business. So why go through this big hassle? What our aim is to make it enabled within few days, basically. And that's what we did. At the time in Kuwait, when we started, it was actually taking months. And we brought it down to 2 days, basically.
So if we want to set up a studio in Riyadh, which we want,
Yes.
in order to be able to get the 90% of the market and reach them, we should partner with TAP.
We'll be more than happy to help.
Okay, so that's the message for the businesses around. And what are the challenges that you definitely took some changes during your career in TAP and when you founded the TAP and so on. But what are the challenges of today's startups in the fintech world? Because obviously in the region, the most of the investments and the startup portfolio is within the fintech.
True.
And what are the challenges that they are meeting today, which maybe didn't exist before?
Oh, for the challenges at the time, I think there was no ecosystem. Now there is an ecosystem.
We can talk about the ecosystem. Yeah.
What's happening today, the challenges is if you are focusing only on technology, that means you need to find the right financial partners that would enable your fintech technology,
Okay.
which is very hard. Because there aren't a lot of financial partners in the region that would provide all the needs to bring out the possibilities of the new technologies that are coming out. That's one. That kind of encouraged us from day one to become a financial institution ourselves. So we are a regulated entity in multiple countries, and we have non-objections from multiple regulators whenever regulation is not yet developed. So what is happening today, that regulations are evolving. They're either formed or developing, and we are very much close to regulators that we want to be very proactive in seeing how we would evolve those regulations and being part of them and fulfilling the needs in order to practice the innovation that we're trying to do with technology. This is one of the challenges that every fintech is going through. If you are going to be regulated, it means that the market is in its phases of evolving its regulation. That's number one. Plus, it's different from one country to another.
Yes, specific.
So it's not unified. So one of the topics that we talk about here in the GCC is how can the GCC, for example, end up having a passporting regulation like the EU, for example. So if you're in the EU and you get regulated, for example, in a country like Germany, okay, you can actually process payments in France because you're part of the EU. But if you're in the GCC and you're regulated, for example, in the UAE, you cannot process payments in any other country in the GCC. So what we're looking at is when it will take years. Still, we're far from it. When are we going to reach to the stage where when a company is regulated in a country in the region, can passport its regulation to another country? We are looking into such things, trying to be proactive with such. We can't do much other than sharing our experiences, because this is the biggest challenge of any fintech startup in the region. You can do amazing work in the UAE, but are you going to be able to replicate it in Egypt or in Saudi?
Are you relevant?
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Are you relevant with your product offering?
Yeah.
Because the product offering gets affected with regulation also. Let's talk an example. Aside from what is happening with crypto in the market, we see markets such as the UAE is very proactive with crypto.
Yes.
But we see other markets being extremely conservative, and it's well understood why every country has its own approach.
Yeah, obviously.
There is no right or wrong. It's just
even
that
in the whole world is like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to be aware as a fintech how to be operating in a region where it is not yet standardized. And that's the biggest challenge, I would say, for any fintech.
Do you see, as you mentioned, blockchain? I wanted to ask you, but I wasn't sure if it is relevant. But as you mentioned, do you see a blockchain platform or being the unifier of a passport to the unification?
Well, there are many use cases for blockchain, I would say, and blockchain is a great technology. It's being even evaluated by multiple regulators.
Yeah.
That's when I say blockchain, I don't mean crypto.
Of course.
Yes.
No.
So it is possible, but is it the solution? I think the decision is with the regulators. It's not something that I can contribute with, but any form of ledger that shares information in a formalized way, in an automated way, I think it is all about data management. From that perspective, it gives the trust and the credibility, so it can play a role. It depends on the adopters of it, I would say.
So this is a step being step closer to the open banking system and platform.
Well, that's the thing. A lot mention open banking and blockchain. I see them completely different than each other.
No, definitely.
Yes,
they are, but they are doing the same thing basically.
Exactly.
On the same mission.
And the open banking is also going through its own path.
It doesn't depend on blockchain, but combining those two would be very powerful.
It would be very powerful, exactly. But you need to evolve blockchain
Yeah.
adoption, and you need to evolve open banking adoption. Now, open banking adoption is also needs time until it's fully adopted in across every country.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Anywhere for sure.
Yeah, like I remember the first country that actually made it required by all banks to have open banking was Bahrain, and that was a few years ago. And do all banks today, do you see the behavior of it running?
No.
It's still in its early stages. Saudi, this year, beginning of the year, they formalized it. Now all the banks, they need to follow to be supporting open banking.
So it is happening.
It is happening. Every country is doing it in a different way. You see a country being pushed from the regulator, and you see other countries where it is, let's say, evolving from the initiatives of banks.
No, that's really amazing. I didn't know that it is at that stage, but it is interesting for TAP. You, as you said, let's take STEP conference as a checkpoint. You know, you started as one of the booths at start. It's a STEP conference, you know, and now you're working with governments, maybe even inspiring them to go for the unified future of the fintech industry and so on. And talking about the future, you mentioned that TAP is active in the region and so on. What is the situation in the world? Not only for TAP, but for these local payment solutions and everything.
So we do have presence outside the region. We do it in a way to connect the region to the world. So we work with global companies that are in Asia and Europe and Western markets that are looking to serve their customers in the region, in the MENA region.
Okay.
So if they want to have their customers paying with the behavior of the local payments in the region, we enable them and allow them to get their payments globally accepted.
Okay, that's the thing, and I'm sure the visionary you are, and what you envision for the region is something that government hopefully will follow. Inshallah, will follow in the years to come.
Well, our mission, I believe, is the region's mission. We are following the region's mission.
Exactly about unification and simplification of the processes and making it more relevant to the global market and so on. And do you, in your vision, is there any at least a glimpse into the Far East market or Americas, Africas, and so on? So I'm sure that they have their own specifics of the market.
True. At the stage, we are basically enabling clients in the Far East, in Asia or in Europe, accepting payments from the region. We are also now looking into payments that are from those other regions to help companies and startups from the Middle East to accept payments internationally. So we want to help businesses that are coming and growing from the Middle East to accept payments globally. Anywhere. Because as they grow, they go to US, they go to Europe, they go to South America, they go to the Far East, they go to Africa. They need to be supported. And if they're already connected with us, the least we would do is we need to go and explore and make it happen for the companies that have been growing out of the region, basically.
That is an amazing vision to have. Ali, thank you very much for your time being in the Change Officer podcast. I think we spoke of so many changes, but I think that there is so many things to tell about TAP and about the fintech in the region. And we have a branch of our podcast which is solely focused on the fintech in the region. So I'm sure that we'll be seeing more of you in our podcast. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Ali, thank you very much. And thank you very much for following us. This is, as you see, we have amazing guests here at the STEP Conference 2023. Amazing things are happening. And if you want to follow us, you know what to do. Share, like, and subscribe. The Change Officer podcast, one of the busiest business podcasts in the region.